I'm on. Got it. Yeah, nice floody, I reckon. Yep. Oh, and there was a trev with it. Made it out for the first morning, first light and the sunrise for 2020. It's beautiful out here this morning. I saw it in last night, but I couldn't resist, and being on holidays at the moment, I thought, why not just get out and fish the first light for the new year. So happy new year, folks. This morning I've got a whole heap of gear in this morning. I'm going to be fishing for mostly mangrove jack. I'm going to go target some jacks early, maybe get some trevally. There's heaps of bait in here. I've seen bust ups already this morning, and if things are a little bit slow, I might head further up this system and try and get a bass. So lots of lures to try out, but yeah, going to get stuck into some bass, maybe on surface. I've got my little fizzer on. I'm running with my my little boy Howdy this morning. I'm going to start with that. Look at those hooks, how disgusting. I need to replace them. A little bit too rusty, eh? Anyway, don't have time to change. I just want to get the lures in the water and get into it. Let's go. Well, I've given this open water a go with the surface lure for about probably 15-20 minutes and nothing. There's bait here and I've got the last of the run out tide. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to head up into some of this more natural structure up in these little creeks, hopefully a little bit tighter, maybe a little bit more sort of overhanging cover or some laydowns, and hopefully be able to get onto a jack that way. I don't want to miss the last of the run out, the absolute last. So it's still slowly just draining out, and I reckon maybe there's going to be a bite period on the back of that. Let's go and get into it. I'm going to change over. I've been skip casting my Fish Arrow Flash J Shad. This is a 4.5 inch paddle tail for about the last 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and nothing doing. I love the presentation because it gets right in under all of this cover, but I reckon the sun's just starting to creep over the edge of this mountain here, so I'm going to change over and run a Snake Locks little Z-Man diesel minnow. So I'll show you. It's one of these, I think that's like a red shad colour, and it's still rigged weedless, but it's got like a 1/4 ounce jig head on it, and that's going to just let me make a bit more of a decision of how deep do I want to go when I get down there. Now, I don't know if you can see that, but it's not sitting right. It must have melted in the pack. It must have been in the sun a bit too long, and it's melted out. So that tail's no good, so I'm going to have to change that out. It's completely ruined, like you can't really fix it. Yeah, it's just too distorted, so I'll bin that, and hopefully this one's good to go. God, that one's not 100% either. It's a lot better. Should be okay. But I'll show you how I like to rig these things. So you just run the little chin locks straight through onto the belly slit, roll it over, and pop it over the little chin weight. And then you want it sitting nice and flush in there. I'm still happy to go with this Z-Man because I can feel that it's a lot newer. They sort of get really sticky when they're done. They get sticky and can distort, but this one feels pretty new, so it's going to be loose enough to work still. So it should sit pretty flat like that. And I'll just check that tail that it's going to be okay, but that's how I'm going to fish the next sort of half an hour, I reckon, as the sun comes up. And you can definitely fish these, probably preferably on a spinning outfit to flick them in, because they're a little bit harder to skip cast. But I'm going to change over and get rid of my top water lure and chuck it on my heavy setup that I run my 5'6", 8 to 10 kilo rod. And the reason I'm going to do that is just so I can keep in touch with the lure a little bit more and feel it a lot more as it's coming over the edge of these rocks and these little laydowns, and then so I can really put some pressure on the fish to pull it out if I get a hook up, once I get a hook up. So there's the sun. Let's see if we can get a jack with that. Oh, yep, I'm on. Got it. Yeah, nice flatty, I reckon. Yep. Oh, and there was a trev with it. Loose. That is awesome. Right off that edge there. And I'm going to try and, I reckon I'm just going to try and keep this fella in the water because they go crazy. And if I can just unhook it, in the water, I reckon it's a better way to go. Actually, I'll give you a look at it. There you go, there you go. They're just mental when they get on the boat, so I'm just going to try and unhook it and drop him back down. Oh, they're stunning. One way you can do it is upside down. It sort of just like immobilises them a little bit, supposedly. And oh, he got me on the way out, you bugger. always the way. When I try to be careful, it ends up happening anyway. Oh well. I'll feel that for the next hour or so. Got to try and catch another one and rub its belly. Now I'm chasing flatties instead of jack. Little dust storms in there though. Maybe they're muddies. There you go. Look at that. Try to do the right thing. Try to handle it correctly. Should have worn a glove. I'm coming over this side now because it's just got a bit heavier shadows. There's a couple of lay down bits of timber. I'm going to persist with this little Z-Man diesel minnows on the snake locks, just because I'm trying to hit this cover and sink it down into it, and hopefully be able to pull a jack or a trevally out in the next couple of minutes. And if that doesn't work, I'm going to go to a diving lure and chuck a deeper diving minnow on and try and get right down into the heavy stuff for some jacks with a hard body. So I'll give this about, I don't know, give this 10 minutes or a couple 100 metres of bank, see what happens. Well, I've seen bust ups along here this morning, like some big fish moving through on the last of the run out tide. But I think it's trevally really. I'm more wanting to get jack, like some fish that's just parked up, sitting on that structure, waiting, facing into the current, waiting for a little minnow to swim by. Right, well the sun has well and truly cracked it over the edge of that mountain range behind me. And so I've tried to change over now. I'm going to go with the diving lure. This is a Tiemco Sumari, one of my favourite jack lures, tricked up with a front BKK and a rear owner hook, just to try and give it a suspension so it sits right in the jack's face. And I'm just testing it, it's perfect, just sits there perfectly. So feel like I've missed my opportunity for surface fishing this morning, and then I persisted with my little Z-Mans for a while, and I had a couple of hits, but I reckon they were flathead. Maybe one trev, but not a jack. I haven't had a jack take yet, so maybe this diving lure is going to do it. I've been watching the sounder a lot this morning because I'm kind of fishing an area that's a really big, long, muddy stretch of bank, and there's a couple of drop zones in there, but I've been looking for lay down timber to try and find isolated patches where there might be a fish holding, but I haven't managed to pull a fish off any of that stuff that's under the surface yet. So I'm going to go back to what my favourite style of fishing is and throw in against the bank. The tide's still draining, so it's getting really, really low. You can see that it's sort of really dropped down out of that bank now. There's barely any cover, barely any bank structure, but that's where I'm going to be hitting. So something like this, and hopefully trying to get that second drop. There's like a second drop off a lot of the time with the edges like this on a bigger scardy bank. So hopefully we pull a jack before the session's out. I reckon I'm going to give it about an hour with this thing now. I'm pretty confident if I can find enough structure or maybe a couple of bends, I'm pretty confident it can get it done. It's a real confidence bait. Whether or not I get the fish in, that's another thing. But there's plenty of bait around, like there's no shortage of bait in this area of the creek, which is really encouraging, but not a lot of bust ups along the edge now. Gonna have to get used to this diving lure a little bit more now that it's just a little bit lighter than that Z-Man, so it's going to take me a couple of casts just to eye it in. someone's braid here. There's loads of braid on this. Crazy. There's the snapped braid. See what's on the end of it. I reckon they've been snapped off by a jack along here. Mate, there must be like easier cast. It goes way back there. It's like 30 pound. Whoa. Oh, it's a nothing. Ugh. Or 50 pound even. It's loose. Thought I was a chance of a jack then. That might have been my best shot. Anyway, we'll keep going. I've gone back to skipping now. Like, the sun's sort of almost overhead, so there's still some shadows. I'm trying to tuck my lure in under all these mangroves here, and I'm kind of just waiting for the change of the tide. A little bit of wind's got up. There's a bit of wind action on it now, which is making a little bit of a challenge with the skipping, because it's the edge on the waves from the wind just pops my lure up a little bit more when I'm skipping. So it's sort of like shooting it up into the trees a little bit. So I'm kind of getting caught a little bit more on the overhanging cover than I'd like, but I'm just going to keep persisting and pushing up through this section. I'm coming across, you know, like just random bits of cover like this, which I'm hoping there might just be a resident jack just sitting on it. Hungry, ready to hit something. This looks prime, my God. Yep. Got it. You beauty. Oh, it's a big flatty. Beautiful big flatty off the end of that structure. Wow. Oh. Well. Oh man, I've been so persistent. So persistent for a jack. Get in there, flatty. Oh, so persistent for a jack. Take a look in there. Oh, beautiful big flatty. Let's see if I can get this one out. Oh, man. Play the game unless I grip it, and I don't have my glove in. Might just use this. Just use a reel cover. Bring you around so you can see. Oh, I thought I had a jack, I thought I'd finally cracked it. I've been grinding, Tide's just changed, and that cover, those laydowns there just scream jack for me. Be careful here, because these things go nuts once you get them gripped. Look at that. Beautiful flathead, probably like mid-50s. and took my Tiemco Sumari just off the edge of some cover. I'm gonna get it straight back in. Off you go, buddy. Oh man, I thought I had my jack. Good consolation prize though. I love those big floodies. But I'm gonna keep going. I reckon maybe this change of tide maybe is enough to crack it and get some bait movement. I've seen a couple of bust ups just happen in the last sort of 5 minutes, like shooting fish, mullets scooting in towards the bank, which might be Trev's, but keep going. See if we can crack this mangrove jack. Just working that Sumari here, I'll give you a look at it. It's all tangled up, but that's the lure that got it. Right off the edge of that cover there. I was working it so slow, it was just stalling there. Really thought it was the retrieve that would entice the jack, eh? Nice big floody. I reckon what I'm going to do, I'm going to sneak in there with the splash prawn on and just see if I can hammer one right down the end of this little drain. I'll give you a look at what I'm up to. Here, come here. I reckon there's a chance of like maybe a small jack or a little bream or something right at the end of these little drains. These are like the little cane farm runoff drains. Not that time, but they tend to produce those things, especially if there's a bit more, there's barely any water in there. But with a bit more water in there, you can just pick up absolutely anything in those little areas there, those little culverts and bases to those drains. Alright, I'll keep going. Big busty. Oh yeah, got hit. Yeah, I'm on. I got it. Whatever it is. It was a huge back cast. I don't know what it is. It's coming in though, but I don't know if it knows it's properly hooked yet. I'm going to back the drag off slightly because I don't want to drop it. I reckon it could be a Trev or a jack. Something interesting because it was a huge back cast to a bust. Oh, it's moving. This is a decent fish. Maybe it's a massive floody. Oh, it's probably, what? What is it? Oh, it's a Trev and it's put about 60 metres on it within about 5 seconds. Don't come off, Trev, don't come off, because you were the keenest. It didn't even reach the hit. It fell about a metre shy of the hit and it had gone the other way because I saw bait spraying up the rest of the bank. Oh, that's so cool. Oh. Come here, buddy. Beautiful, Trev. Look at it. Oh, man. Awesome. Tell you what would we do without Trevs and big flathead? These slow jack sessions. My God. Oh, that's cool. And here comes someone to wreck my spots. Don't. Oh. Just coming up on all this awesome structure. And at this. Awesome. Wow. I'll bring you around here. I'm gutted that. You should hear that prop, eh? Doesn't sound good. But the best structures of the last like K and a half was just coming up to it. And old mate, you might not be able to hear it with my mic, but old mate has just hammered right over the top of it. Alright, take a look at that. Nothing to frown at. Awesome GT. Sick. Keenest GT ever. Look down that throat. The keenest little estuary GT ever was heading up the bank one way, and my big plastic hit it behind it, about 3 metres behind it, turned around, came back and gave it about 2 metres, then smashed it and put 60 on me. Awesome. Well, that's making up for a slow jack session. Wicked. Go, buddy. Oh, I'm pretty satisfied with that, eh? Apart from the fact the best bits of structure in the creek have just been hammered over the top of. I'll give him a fish anyway, and then might wrap the session up. That was pretty satisfying, but again, just taken on a skipping plastic. Actually, it was like a weedlessly rigged plastic. I was trying to get in under some cover, the really heavy timber, and I'll show you. It's like my Flash Arrow J Shad. It's one of my favourite skipping plastics from Mangrove Jack. I've got a beautiful profile on them. That's it there. If you haven't seen the reviews that I've done on this, you've got to check it out. The Flash Arrow J Shad review, where I just cane the Mangrove Jack on this thing. God, they're good, these things. Make sure you check that out. I'll link it at the end of this video. Alright, let's keep going. Look at this structure. Oh my God. So frustrating that I've just missed it. So that's all about like right place, right time. Those trevs that just patrol the edges of these estuaries, you just got to be in the right spot, just get lucky. Like some of them hang around some of the structures, but that one was just like pump, smashing bait up along the edge of the bank. And it's really because I've got rods that are rigged, unhooked, like just sitting there like this. They're just sitting down on the end of my boat here, unhooked, lined up there. I've got a splash prawn on, if it's a tiny little, like a prawn that's getting busted up, and I can get the distance to get to it. And I've got a plastic rigged ready to go. Sometimes I've got a popper in there as well, but it really pays just to have a couple of rods at the ready, so that if you get that moment that shows itself when you're in casting range. I was just out of range there. He was super keen, so I was a lucky one. But it always pays to have a rod ready, just as a, you know, as one you can pick up and chuck straight on top of something. Oh, that's so far in there. You cannot do it any other way with these big laydowns where there's just cover everywhere. Skip casting into them is just so effective to get in there. The only thing is, you get a fish, you're gone. Don't know how you're pulling it out. No idea, but who cares? Got to give yourself a shot. That is right down in there. Come on. How is there not a fish in there? heart and mouth stuff because I'm firing this thing into the death zone. Hey, look at it. Completely stupid stuff. Look at this.
Look at that. How is that not getting killed?
That is right deep into the joint in there, like crazy deep. Again, come on. No way. I don't care that it's midday. If you get your cast that deep, it should be game on. Alright, well I reckon that's going to do me this morning. I've given it plenty and it's been a pretty good session in the end, really. Couple of flathead, one nice one, and then that GT which just smashed me. That was awesome. I mainly fished with this in the end, skipped this plastic around just because I love this skip casting stuff, and used the Tiemco Sumari. Didn't get any love on the fizzer this morning real early, but I'm going to keep persisting with that because the water temperature's bumped up in the last couple of weeks, and I'm pretty sure that the jack fishing is hopefully just going to keep improving right through the season now. Be nice to get a little bit more rain. We've had a touch of rain in the last week, but a little bit more would be good. Then I might even get into the bass as well. So I've got heaps lined up. The jet skis there, my kayak fishing, I'm going to be doing a bit more of that this season. Definitely out in the tinny chasing jacks, maybe a little bit more pontoon stuff. So I haven't hit the pontoons in a little while for those bigger fish. But hopefully you're enjoying these videos. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. If you're just new to my channel and you haven't been watching many of these videos, I've got loads of reviews and adventure videos up there now. So make sure you're subscribed. There's heaps more coming this season, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.